Ho ho ho, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate, you know the deal. Anyway, for those of you who are curious to know, yes, I do have the, sum up year videos to do, but before I get to that, I might as well satisfy you with a little Christmas spirit, non-Star Wars related, since, well, that's what I did to pretty much sum up the year, and you think I'm not going to do anything actually Christmas related? Here's the answer to your prayers right here. Another top 10 best Christmas specials. Yes, another mix and mash of movies, TV specials, short films, you name it, right here. The ones that I didn't include on the top 10 best Christmas movie specials list, ones that I seem to have overlooked, forgotten about, but are still worth watching. Yep, so here we go. Starting with number 10. Ernest Saves Christmas. Alright, well, I know, this is not exactly the greatest Christmas movie ever made. Jim Varney was like, from the 90s, he was almost like Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler. Love him or love to hate him. He's a goofball. So, in most of his movies, which he's made a ton of, like Ernest Scared Stupid, Ernest Goes to Jail, and so forth, they're nothing really too spectacular, and neither is this one, but it has something going for it. It has an actor who plays a really good Santa Claus. It definitely shows some true Christmas magic to it that, because he doesn't have a passport or any of that. And, well, basically, Ernest is trying to, the typical goofball that he is in all of his films, nothing out of the ordinary there. He tries to find a replacement for Santa, and there's a lot of dumb moments, but actually, it's not too bad. And that's why it's this low on the list, because, well, you could say it's guilty pleasurable, and if you don't like it, fine, I respect that, but like I said, that's why it's this low on the list. Number 9, Krampus. Okay, well, this is the most recent film, obviously, that's on this list, that released in 2015 to be exact, around December. Yeah, perfect time of the year for that. And, well, it's the only Christmas horror film that's on this list. Yeah, another Christmas horror film, aside from Gremlins. Yeah, and this one, in case you're unfamiliar with the Greek monster Krampus, yeah, that's what he is. He's pretty much the complete opposite of Santa Claus. Santa Claus gives to the good children and people, while Krampus takes away from people who lose their faith. And that's what this movie's kind of about. It's about a child, with the family, and obviously they have cousins or some sort of family relatives that they're related to that are very poor-mannered and they can't get along with, especially around the holidays when it's, that time of the year for getting over differences and so forth. So it's sort of like Home Alone, Christmas Vacation sort of thing. And when things go wrong and take a turn for the worst is when he completely gives up his faith, and that's when things really turn worse than ever. It gets dark, becomes a blizzard, and it can't go anywhere, and they realize their whole house and everything around them is turning into a living hell because of the monster Krampus. But you don't really see him that much. That's the only major thing, and the film does have some dark humor in it as well. Most of the time you just see is like, basically it does explain that it's like a gingerbread cookie monster and a bunch of toys like a Jack-in-the-Box and Christmas lights that attack people, the whole family and everything. Basically they try to take them in and warn the kid what happens, because, and another thing that's a little weird is that the grandmother, most of the time she speaks Japanese, which is subtitled, but then when she tells the whole story, because basically she tells the whole story about the past and the whole thing about Krampus, and it's one of those where nobody else really believes in it, only she believes in it, and, well, and another thing that's weird is that it's all, the story, when it's shown, it's all claymation, which I understand it's trying to be like, one of those old, old school style Christmas specials, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or something. Basically, that's the only thing about this film. So it is flawed, and again, that's why it's this low on the list. You either like it or love to hate it. I don't think it's really a bad movie. It's got, like I said, some dark humor in it, and yeah, you don't really see the monster. You see a little bit of him at the beginning, and then you see more of him at the end, and the design to him is okay. I mean, yes, there was even a Krampus house I saw at Universal Hollywood during Horror Nights, and I'm actually kind of, well, not fully surprised that they didn't leave it up during the holidays, but yeah, it is a Universal film. And yeah, another major complaint is the ending might be a little bit confusing. I don't think there's really any explanation to what happens, not to really majorly spoil anything, but it's a decent dark film. As I said, a Christmas horror film, but not anywhere near as good as the first Gremlins movie. So check it out if you really are curious. It's not bad, actually. It's actually done by the same director who did that direct-to-TV and DVD movie Trick or Treat, which is the most Halloween-ish movie ever made, so check it out if you got the chance. It's not that bad. Number 8, Prancer. A 1989 movie about a little girl who obviously believes in Santa, typical, child that's, trying to enjoy Christmas, and her friends obviously don't believe in Santa until things change when she realizes one of Santa's reindeer, Prancer, that's what the movie's called, obviously, shows up, and she obviously claims that it's Prancer, and nobody else believes her, so it's an interesting adventure, it has some good holiday spirit to it, and I'd say her performance is pretty good. I'd say it's a very underrated movie for the most part, kind of forgettable, but not too bad actually. I like the ideas it puts behind it, and definitely it's worth watching for the most part, so check it out if you got the chance. Number 7, Flintstones Christmas. Whoa, wow, now we're really going back to the past with an old school Hanna-Barbera cartoon, and why this one out of all these newer and, more recent ones? Well, because, even though this was before my time, I still grew up watching this Christmas special as a kid, and even watching it today again brings back the good memories. Basically, it's about Santa Claus gets hurt and is unable to deliver presents in the prehistoric world of Bedrock. Or, that's just the name of the town, I should say. But, of course, Fred Flintstone has to take the part, and things don't exactly go accordingly like he hoped for, but it definitely shows that he is true on Christmas spirit and how he can definitely fulfill the role. Yeah, we've seen this idea done before in plenty of films like Fred Claus and so forth, but I'd say this one's definitely much more worth watching than that crappy movie. I didn't like that movie, you already know on my, judging by my top 10 worst Christmas specials list, but I'd say screw that, watch this one. It's definitely a piece out of history right here, and for this time of the year. Number 6, The Real Ghostbusters Christmas Special, or, it's actually called Xmas Marks the Spot. This one is actually kind of a spoof parody, and yeah, this is the old, Real Ghostbusters cartoon. I don't have to explain about the whole thing with, the fake Ghostbusters based off the 70s TV show, and this one, which is basically based off the classic hit movie. The originals, not the female version, obviously. I'm really hoping that doesn't get a TV series based on it. But anyway, this is obviously about a group, and yes, you can buy this in the DVD box set, volumes 1 through 5, it's included, I forget how much disc, but it's about the Ghostbusters that travel during a major blizzard right before Christmas. Somehow they travel back to, the 1930s, or no, the 1800s or something, to when Christmas Carol took place. I thought it was just a fictional book, but somehow, they end up in that world, and basically they end up zapping 5 ghosts, which, as crazy as it sounds, turns out are the ghosts of, Scrooge that are supposed to help him try to, like Christmas and care about people. But of course, since they do that, they basically screw up the whole timeline, and then they go back to the present, and they realize that everybody hates Christmas, and it's basically got Scrooge-itis, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I know I made that word up. So, their plan is to go back and undo it, but the way they do it is kind of interesting. So like I said, it's actually a spoof, and I know, Christmas Carol has been spoofed and remade, rebooted to death, and, this one is actually worth watching, so, yeah, I know. They milk this cow a lot, but this one, you should definitely check out if you got the chance. If you got the DVD box set, or even rent it on Amazon or whatever, you should definitely see this one. It's funny, it's great, and I definitely enjoyed it. Number 5, The Simpsons Christmas Special, the very first one, also known as Simpsons on a Roasting Fire. Yes, I have to include this one. Even though I prefer the second one that came out in Season 7, Marge Not Be Proud, I think it was called, the one where Bart shoplifts the video game, I still gotta give credit to the first one. This is not only the first Christmas special, this is actually the very first Simpsons episode that ever premiered, after it was on Tracy Ullman as a couple of short films. But this one is definitely worth watching. I know, like any of the episodes on Season 1, you can tell the animation is so outdated, but it's still got that great holiday feel to it. Basically, they're all trying to go shopping, Homer's expecting a Christmas bonus, the typical cliche stuff you expect around Christmas, but things go wrong when Bart gets a tattoo that he wanted, and, without Marge's or anybody's permission, and I don't know how the guy in the tattoo parlor was stupid enough to believe that he's 21, yeah, he says he's 21, and basically, just as he's finished, Marge has to go get him, laser removal to get it off, and they realize it costs all the money that they had in cash, so Homer doesn't get the Christmas bonus, but I wouldn't dare spoil the rest of it. It's definitely got a great theme to it that, you know, money and Christmas bonuses aren't all what Christmas is about. And so, yeah, you can complain about that. But the other thing I'll really spoil is, yes, this is where you first see the dog, Santa's little helper, and that's all I'll really spoil for you. Definitely check it out. It's on season 1. Hell, I even had the old videotape of it. I don't know if I still have it on me, but yeah, it's definitely a worthwhile Christmas special, and I'm sure it's going to be on Fox at some point. I'm sure they're going to run a marathon of all these Simpsons Christmas specials on one of those Fox channels. But otherwise, this is where the Simpsons began, in a jolly old way. Number 4, Little Drummer Boy. Yeah, in case you don't know, yes, everybody knows about the song, or they should know, and it's a Christmas song, of course, and this is a Christmas special, an old 1968 claymation, you know, still animation, just like a lot of those other Christmas specials, shorts like, you know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and so forth. So, yeah, I know I'm saying this a lot, but this one has some true Christmas spirit. How? Well, aside from this famous song, basically the boy is orphaned and only finds enjoyment by, you know, drumming. Yeah, that's why he's called the Little Drummer Boy. And wouldn't you know it, he journeys over to Bethlehem, which pretty much brings out the true meaning of Christmas. After all, that is the true meaning of Christmas, you know, the birth of Christ and all that. But if it's on ABC or NBC, I'm sure any of these, they always show these specials every year. This has great animation. No matter how old it is, it stands the test of time on the true meaning of Christmas whatsoever. It really does great. So, definitely a lot of nostalgia if you grew up during those times. Obviously, again, this is before my time, but it's still like Charlie Brown and all those other classics. It's definitely worth watching for nostalgic purpose. Number 3. Frosty the Snowman. Alright, well, you didn't think I was going to exclude this one, did you? No. Based on the song, which I'm sure all of you probably have to know about, and you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with Christmas? Well, come on, everybody plays this song around Christmas, and everybody I'm sure watches this special around Christmas when it's on TV, or even on video or DVD or whatever. Yeah, it's on any home media nowadays, like anything else. And this one is not claymation, it's actual hand-drawn animation, which is definitely refreshing to see compared to all this CG and all this other computer-generated animation that just has no charm nowadays. This still holds up. It's a great classic tale about a bunch of kids who find a top hat that's magical and brings the snowman to life, but then they realize that, you know, the guy who owned the hat before wants it back, but the snowman has to get to a, you know, colder climate, which ends up having them follow them, lead the kids to the North Pole. So that's where Christmas comes in pretty well, and it shows that basically the man, you know, that wants the hat back is greedy, you know, the Scrooge type of person, and, well, go see for yourself. I wouldn't dare spoil the rest of it. It's magical, and it's still a classic after all these years. A classic song and a classic special. Number 2, Miracle on 34th Street. Which one? Obviously the original. I mean, I wouldn't dare put the John Hughes remake on the list. And, well, although that remake does have a few decent aspects to it, but the original black and white one, come on, you can't beat that version out. I mean, the acting, everything, the atmosphere, it's like watching the original It's a Wonderful Life. And it's like if they remade that movie, which I don't think they would dare remake it, and even if they do, I wouldn't even dare watch it, because some films like these only deserve to be in black and white. If you like the remake, fine, but I prefer the original, and I highly recommend watching this one. If you don't know the story, quickly, it's about, obviously, a guy who claims he's Santa. A little girl tries to defend him in court. So, yeah, it's a lot of court scenes and so forth. But it definitely brings out, eventually, the true meaning of Christmas. And definitely gets the beliefs in him. So, it's a lot of that political mumbo-jump, you know, courtroom drama crap. But in this film, it works so well to a consent. It's almost like the Tim Allen Santa Claus, you know. He claims he's Santa, and the law doesn't like it, that kind of nonsense. But this one is so much better. I mean, this is classic right here. It's a real miracle that definitely should not be missed around this time of the year. Alright, well, I might as well throw in a few honorable mentions here. Die Hard 1. Yeah, believe it or not, it is a Christmas movie. It takes place during Christmas. Hell, there's music at the end credits of Christmas. Can't beat that right there. Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh. Yeah, this is obviously based off the Nickelodeon show, which I dearly miss. And, yeah, the Christmas special, which is basically like a feature-length film, obviously made for TV, and I definitely recommend it. Highly. You know, the two brothers, or stepbrothers, I should say, trying to give a foster family best Christmas ever. Why not, right? And the number one other Christmas special, I should say, that's on this list that I think is the best and should not be missed, Scrooge, or based on the classic novel by Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol. Which one? I have to say the original. Even though I recommend all the other classics, like you got the Muppets, you got the 2009 remake, and all these other remakes and parodies, I still highly recommend watching the 1935 version. The first one ever made on film, in black and white, that, I'm sorry, this is the classic. You can't ignore this one. This one has to be acknowledged. I mean, the acting I still say holds up pretty well. I mean, the guy who plays Scrooge, I think is very believable for the most part. I mean, just the reactions and everything he has. So you can argue all you want that it's all outdated looking. It's made in 1935. What more do you expect, people? That's like nitpicking the original King Kong, It's a Wonderful Life, and so forth. Some of these classics are timeless. They stand the test of time, and, well, of course they are going to get parodied to death. But this one was an instant classic, unlike It's a Wonderful Life, which took a couple of decades to gain its, attention and widespread acclaim. This one was a classic right off the bat. It should not be missed, and it definitely shows that Christmas should be loved. No matter how bad of a mood you're in, it brings out the Scrooge within you and shows you Christmas is all about, love and simple miracles that should be like this movie. So, that's my top 10 list of what other Christmas specials I seem to have overlooked. Till next time, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and so forth. See you next time for, to sum up this year with the top 10s and 5s and, movies and video games and so forth. So, tune in next time. We'll see you then.